Let's talk social and digital. In this room, we have not touched on it a ton this Congress in terms of social, digital, marketing, advertising. But arguably, I would say, and I think you all would agree, it may be one of the number one things that should be on the minds of every single person attending this Congress right now. Someone tell me why social and digital is so relevant right now for the B2B space that many of the attendees here at Congress sit in.
Well, I think that I'll start off with saying that it's been very disruptive. Never before in the history of our industry have you been able to go direct to your customers and direct networking. You've always had to go through a gatekeeper, whether that's a trade show or some sort of event. With social media and with digital marketing, and that's a broad term, as you know. You can reach your customer directly, and you can tell your own story. You don't have to go through a PR firm and have their spin on it. You can tell your own story, and that's very, very powerful to have that in your hand.
And Richa, you're on the media side of things. Talk to us, how does traditional means and traditional media translate into digital media today, especially in the B2B space here? Is it something that you see as crucial for their businesses? Is it something that you see they need to evolve into? What's the level of importance from your side, from a PR, from a media side?
I think specifically for the colored gemstone industry, when I look at the colored gemstone industry versus diamonds, if diamonds is Microsoft, colored gemstones is like Apple.
That's a bold statement. I think everybody in here is probably...
Yeah. It is. We have better margins. We are cooler. We are more stylish.
Most definitely.
Most humble.
And we have a cult following. People, who love colored gemstones, they love it with passion. You either get us or you don't get us, right? And I think social media provides a fantastic platform to tell the story of colored gemstones. And there are a million stories to tell. There are a million stories to tell about just one stone and so many deposits. And then you have the whole gamut in front of you, the rainbow. So, the opportunities are endless, provided we just reach out and go for it.
Saren, here in Thailand, and you have an influence and an influx of many Asian cultures as well into your business. How relevant is it in a global and international sort of environment for you as well with regard to social media and digital?
Sorry, I'm speak Thai and she help me from translate.
No problem.
สำหรับคำถามเขียนจริงๆในเมืองไทยสำหรับโซเชียลมีเดียเนี่ยสิ่งที่สำคัญที่สุดคือมันเป็นเหมือนfirst impression ของการที่เรารู้จักคนฝั่งตรงข้ามอย่างเช่นสมมติเวลาเราเปิดไปแล้วเราเจอคนคนนี้เราจะรู้ว่าเขาเป็นยังไงในโลกของโซเชียลมีเดีย
So in Thailand, social media being used by as a medium to present the first impression to everyone that looked on your social media or social accounts.
เพราะฉะนั้นสิ่งที่สำคัญที่สุดคือเราจะรู้จักคนคนนั้นตอนที่เราเปิด Facebook หรือว่า Instagram หรือว่ามีเดียทุกอย่างแล้วเราจะรู้ว่าเขาเป็นตัวตนเขาจริงๆได้อย่างไรในขณะที่ปัจจุบันโซเชียลมีเดียมีการปรุงแต่งให้เป็นคนในจินตนาการ
So it's the way that getting to know someone by looking at their profile or their social media profile, and it's the way that they present themselves by using those pictures and the profile. Social media profile.
ดังนั้นสิ่งที่เป็นเรื่องปกติในเมืองไทยคือเราปล่อยให้ทุกคนเป็นคนในจินตนาการที่ทุกคนอยากจะเป็นแล้วเราก็แค่เคารพสิทธิของเขาแล้วก็เข้าใจความแตกต่างของแต่ละคนแล้วก็ ใช้ประโยชน์ของความแตกต่างนั้นให้เป็นประโยชน์
So it's kind of like the way we present ourselves through social media is it's also the way that we respect each person.
Thank you. And Amadeo, you created your business, and the foundation of your business was actually more through traditional means and through even sort of through traditional retail. But how has that evolved for you, and how are you using digital today?
So actually, it goes farther than that because being the sixth generation in a family business in jewelry, I grew up in our business in the trade. 15 years old, I was already going to trade shows everywhere with my parents and working in the family company. So for me, the business was selling to importers or wholesalers, coral and cameos for my family company. When I started my brand in New York in 2001, then things changed because I was aiming at, we started selling at Neiman Marcus and Bergdorf Goodman, Saks, and the whole major department stores and retailers. But that also was another gatekeeper, as Benjamin was pointing out, because of course, our problem, all of our problem here is to sell product. We're here to sell product. Once we sell, everything, our other problem is going to be sorted out. So how do we sell that product? Whether you're selling a mass market or luxury market, you have to find a way to get to the consumer. There's no other way. Now, selling to the department stores and to the fancy stores was easy until at some point. But after 2008, things have changed in that world too. And we all felt like the business of jewelry was crushing, and nobody wanted jewelry. The rumor was, women don't wear jewelry anymore. They wear leggings and go to the gym. That's absolutely not true, because women love jewelry since the beginning of times, and we'll always love jewelry. And jewelry is a statement of power, of status. The problem was that we had to refine the codes of distribution of jewelry, because the one thing that didn't change in decades was how we sell the jewelry. And it was the trade shows and the department stores or the wholesalers. But social media changed everything in one major fundamental thing. So it changed the mindset of the consumer. Whether they realize it or not, where we all realize it or not, we think now that we're powerful because we have a phone and we have Instagram and we have internet.
For better or worse?
For better or worse. And so we are not going to be a passive customer of anyone, like what you have, and I'm going to buy what you have. No, I'm going to buy what I want, and I'm going to look for what I want. And if the first store carrying jewelry, for example, will not have what I have in mind or what I've seen on the red carpet or what I've seen on television or what I've seen in a magazine, I'll go to the next one. I'll move to the next one. But now we're actually to the point where we're not moving to the next store. We're going straight to the source. So everybody now is, the famous aspirational market. Now we aspire to go directly to the designer, directly to the source. And even on a B2B experience, it's very interesting. Through Instagram, I found many more sources of gemstones, color stones, a lot of suppliers that I had no idea, the small suppliers in Sri Lanka or in India, that I would have never met, or maybe I would have passed by their booth in the Hong Kong show and never even noticed. But then there is one more thing, because on social media, I start to trust the person. I see their page. Maybe I see what they're eating and when they go on vacation with their family and who they are as a person, and that's where the trust factor kicks in. Yeah. And our industry is all about trust. Whether we're selling fine jewelry or gemstones, B2B, B2C, it's all about trust. Once there's a trust, you have a client.
So what other things have you seen, Risha and Benjamin, from dealers, from gemstone dealers, from people in this room? What are the successes that you've seen? What are the things that people have done well?
I personally, there are a couple of accounts that I think are doing a phenomenal job. I think the first one I absolutely adore in the gemstone world is Gemfluencer, Dave Bindra. I'm sure a lot of you follow him. And the way he matches the stones with his shoes.
With his sneakers, yeah.
I just love that. And the other one of the first accounts I started following was in Colombia, actually. It was Muzo Emeralds, a chap called George Smith. I bet a lot of you follow that one as well. And I just love the way he tells the story of Colombia, the story of the stones, the story of the people of the land. You know, another brand I love is Munu Gem Palace. You know, they have an Instagram account for their dog as well. And they're like, you know, their storytelling, like it's coming out of everywhere. So, I mean, those are some of the ones that I really like. In terms of corporations, I like what MTC is doing in Colombia. I like the way they tell the story of their mining operations. So those are the ones I like. I don't know.
Yeah, and Benjamin, if you can actually go in further too of why, like, what makes something
Correct.
good? What
Yeah.
makes it great?
So rather than name off individual like accounts, I want to explain to you why those accounts are doing good. It's because they're being authentic.
And what is,
Yes.
like, tell us more than that. Obviously, we're
Correct.
all into,
You know, there's people say like fake it till you make it, and Instagram's so flashy and stuff like that. But the reason why those accounts in particular and others are doing good is they're showing the nitty gritty behind the scenes. I mean, oftentimes, you know, he's showing a miner with his hands black, you know, pulling a crystal out of the rock. I love ICA member Black Opal Direct that's here. They have these amazing YouTube videos teaching consumers how they cut black opals and why they are so expensive and how much, you know, they start off with a 30 karat black opal and they end up with a 5 carat. And they do like a special happy dance whenever they finish the opal kind of thing. And those things, that energy, you know, I have a saying on my page, when you have a true passion for something, it's contagious. That energy comes through. So, but it's authenticity, really telling your true story. If you're not the biggest miner on the planet, don't tell that story. Tell your story of you panning for alluvial, you know, deposits. Tell your story of you cutting smaller stones instead of these amazing 80 karat stones, you know. Like, to be authentic to yourself, amazing imagery, and it does not have to be perfect and flawless. In fact, I tell people all the time, do not use white background imagery on social media. That is for press, that is for websites, that is not for social media at all. And in fact, there's actually trends right now of younger consumers of social media putting filters on things to make them look more gritty and make them look more kind of not so perfect.
like, a VHS tape.
Correct, yeah. And then being consistent. You know, you cannot just, you know, post something here while you're at ICA Congress for a week and then go back to not doing anything for weeks or months. The way that these algorithms work on all of these platforms is they reward people for using their features. So on Instagram, if you are just posting on the news feed and you're not using the stories feature, you're not using the IGTV video feature, you're not going to be seen by as many people unless you're using all the features. Same thing on YouTube. If you're only posting once a month, it doesn't matter if you post the most amazing video a month later, the algorithm is not going to reward you by showing it to more of your audience since you haven't been posting once a week like your regular schedule was. Whatever your consistent schedule is, you need to keep that up.
And Saren, we tend to focus and tend to gravitate immediately toward Instagram and still to some extent, you know, Facebook and things of that nature. Are there other things here when you're trying to reach the Asian consumers? What other tools and platforms and nuances do those have?
ว้าวจริงๆแล้ว so hard วิธีการที่ผมใช้อยู่ตอนนี้คือเราใช้โซเชียลมีเดียแล้วก็เบลนด์กับ relationship ของ consumer ด้วยเช่นเดียวกัน คือทุกครั้งเวลาเราจะใช้โซเชียลเราจะพยายามดูว่ากลุ่มลูกค้าก็คือใครแล้วกลุ่มลูกค้าของผมเนี่ยเราตั้งเป้าไว้ว่าคือ women on top ของไทยแล้วก็ของ international ดังนั้นผู้หญิงเหล่านี้เป็นเหมือนแมกเนตหรือแม่เหล็กที่ดึงดูดคนให้เข้ามาดูแล้วเขาก็จะรู้สึกว่าเขาอยากเป็นเหมือนผู้หญิงที่เราตั้งเป้าไว้คือกลุ่มลูกค้าของเราเหมือนกับเรามองไว้ว่าผู้หญิงที่อยู่บน ยอดพีระมิดคือใครแล้วผู้หญิงที่อยู่อันเดอร์ลงมาเนี่ยเขาจะอยากเป็นเหมือนผู้หญิงที่อยู่บนยอดนั้นซึ่งสุดท้ายแล้วเนี่ยเราใช้วิธีการใช้มีเดียแล้วก็ใช้วิธีการเข้าหากับกลุ่มลูกค้าโดยตรงโดยที่มันเหมือนกับการเอาโลกใบเก่าที่เราใช้วิธีการเขียนจดหมาย letter หรือว่าจะเป็นการพบลูกค้าโดยตรงมาเจอกับโลกสมัยใหม่คือการใช้มีเดียเอาทุกอย่างมาผสมกันมันเหมือนเป็นศิลปะประเภทหนึ่ง
For me, my main customers are influential women in society. They are like an inspiration that makes women want to be like them. So the medium that has become popular for my target group mostly is kind of classic, such as writing letters or meeting in person. This means that you must know your niche, know them very well, know how to communicate to them. So it would give a negative result if you use the wrong kind of media to communicate with them. So he chose the way that more direct to communicate with his target market.
Does that work across the entire sort of audience that you're trying to reach, or are you using a blended approach? Are you using, which is great to hear, the traditional media and handwritten letters and personal approaches, but is that changing? Are they starting to use more digital platforms as well, or do you see it being pretty consistent?
ตอนนี้มีเริ่มใช้ครับในเมืองไทยแล้วก็จริงๆผมคิดว่าทั่วโลกคนที่เป็นผู้หญิงกลุ่มนี้หรือคนที่มีอิทธิพลในวงการใช้มีเดียแต่การใช้มีเดียของเขาเนี่ยคือการใช้ในแง่ของการบอกเล่าเรื่องของวิถีชีวิตหรือไลฟ์สไตล์รวมถึงรสนิยมเพราะฉะนั้นมันเป็นสิ่งที่ดีที่จะใช้ประโยชน์หรือสิ่งที่เขาเป็นอยู่ในขณะนี้ให้เป็นประโยชน์มากที่สุด
Yes, they also use social media like Instagram and Facebook and other media that they use to tell their story. It's more like storytelling and show their lifestyles. So it's benefit our brand that they use this social media to show their lifestyle and other women also try to like copy them.
I think it's not for, it depends on who you want to reach and what you want to do. And I feel it's, a little bit, it's not necessarily for everyone, but I feel if you take the decision to open up an Instagram account or any type of social media platform, it's a little bit like a marriage. You have to commit to it. So either do it or don't do it, but doing it halfway, like Benjamin was saying, it's not going to give you the results that you're looking for.
The other thing I think that's probably scaring some people in the room, and I remember back at Jaipur Congress, we had a Q&A session at the end of our talk, and somebody from Sri Lanka stood up to ask us a question, and he said, my colleagues from South America, about 10 of them just walked out of the room whenever the social media panel began.
Yeah.
Because they didn't think that social media was for them. They said, how can we sell a $40,000 emerald on Instagram? It's not possible. Well, Amadeo and I know. I post something from a trunk show in Florida and a client, buying a $50,000 necklace within 5 minutes of me posting it. And I know a single account, I've helped a designer get over $1 million into a new jewelry store. The problem with it's actually an opportunity with the gem trade is a lot of times, customers don't want to tell people where they're getting their stones from. Oh, you have the best rubies in your designs. Where are you getting them from? Well, I'm not going to tell them I'm getting them from Sant. You know what I mean? It's like a secretive thing. They want to keep the best rubies for themselves. But there is a way to do it business to business where you can just show your brand story. With him using designer jewelry, he needs to have those foot soldiers out on the street, those influential women, those beautiful women posting themselves wearing his designs. But for business to business, it's not necessarily going to be, hey, all of my suppliers, please, tag us that you're getting your, calibrated gemstones from us. That type of thing isn't going to work. And I think that's why a lot of times I've seen gemstone dealers on social media, they're very rush to close the deal. You know, as soon as they follow you, they're like, here's my WhatsApp number, here's my PayPal, like, do you want to buy stones or
Right.
what? Like, you know, I sell salt and pepper diamonds, like, here's my PayPal, like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Instead of telling me where they got the stones from, who cuts them, you know, showing me the different style of cuts they can do, how long they've been in business. Like those type of things will interest a designer like Amadeo to actually use those stones, or somebody like her to feature those stones, you know?
It's trust.
It's
Yes,
correct.
It's about the trust.
It's
And
not
It's a
just a hard
relationship.
sell.
And social media helps us connect with each other and helps everybody to connect with people they don't know. Yes, there is a certain portion of the idea that, okay, we sell very expensive pieces. Why would anybody buy it on Instagram, a $40,000 stone or piece of jewelry?
How do we crush that notion?
First of
though?
all,
Yeah.
I have an idea, my own personal idea through experience that, you know, what's 40,000 to me, it's probably 400 to somebody else who has 4 billion in a bank account. So
Right.
everything is relative. So you know, we can't have like prejudice in both sense. Secondly, the oldest trick of the trade, the oldest saying, it's that the publicity and so exposure, it's the soul of the trade. If we don't expose what we do, if we don't show what we do, we're not gonna, you know, sell it. So social media now, we have the incredible possibility to show to a large number of people what we do. Before it was magazines, it was editorial, but editorial was very snotty, very difficult to enter. The editors were very choosy, and they had their connections, and they would show only a few brands, and mostly the massive brands. So it was very difficult to access that. I was lucky that I accessed that, and they kind of built my business. But also, I have to say now that before I had an editorial in one of the famous magazines, for example, in America, the phone wouldn't stop ringing, and we had to stock up of that one necklace or earring on that page. Now, nobody cares. I mean, the phone stopped ringing about 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And instead, if we post something on Instagram, if even myself, without fanfare, without pomp, without the beautiful pages of Town and Country or W Magazine, then all of a sudden we get DMs and emails, or they call the shop in New York, and it's like, I've seen this on Instagram, can I have more information? So that's what we have. It's a huge platform. It's an ocean, but we need to learn how to navigate. But that's the possibility. We're not confined anymore.
And I think for the younger generation also, it's like, you know, you meet someone and they're like, oh, I'm so-and-so. Okay, are you on Instagram? Oh, you're not on Instagram. So now I have to open a website. You know, it's like it
Yes.
takes a couple of seconds to process that piece of information. So because you just go on the social media page and see like, oh, okay, in like it's instant consumption of visual iconography.
Yeah.
I want to tell a story, and I won't say too many numbers, but I'm very proud of the work that I did actually with Gemfields, helping to kind of launch them with emerging designers in the U.S. in 2015 to 2017. And at one of the big Oscar events, Irene Neuwirth, who's like an award-winning designer, she made a gorgeous tiara with Gemfields rubies. And I got the shots from the stylist and everything, and I'm posting them on all my pages. And things are cumulative, you know. You don't know if it comes from this or this or this,
Yeah,
but
of course.
within a week, that tiara sold. It was in the high six figures, and it actually sold to a 70-plus-year-old woman who wanted a ruby tiara. And, you know, I don't think that sold because she was watching E! News. You know, I think she was looking at, you know, where it's all coming from. You know, so social media definitely is powerful. And speaking of what Amadeo was saying with numbers, you know, these magazines are shrinking. Not just the trade magazines, you know, I mean, JCK last year went from 12 plus a show issue to 6 plus a show issue. Now there's 4, and one of those is the show issue.
Yeah.
And they're publicly, you know, they put out their media kit, you know, and the numbers go down. You know, we have 197,000 people that we think see it. because they send it to 70,000 jewelry stores and they have some type of formula that says there's 5 people at each jewelry store that read it and that kind of stuff. I know because I worked in retail. A lot of times magazines will sit in the plastic wrapper on the desk for a month and then somebody will take it home. With social media, we have verified numbers. On average, on a slow week, I have 300 to 400,000 unique accounts, not views, unique accounts seeing my posts. On a high week, it can be in the millions, but that is double what JCK Magazine is. And it's much. But I also want to say this too. It's a much cheaper or more affordable to work with a storyteller than to work with print media, because we are our own employees. I'm assuming Reach is a one-woman team. I'm a one-man person. I'm doing everything. We don't have a 20-person staff and not flying places first class and stuff. So our cell phones have really upended the trade as far as that's concerned. Whenever I can show a brand verified, 80,000 people saw this,
right,
and then someone has some googly math, of maybe this many people saw it.
Right. How do we get past just, Saren, when it comes to your business and you are in selling direct to consumers as well, when it comes to the numbers, how do you help someone just beginning get past just the big numbers of impressions and reach, but also get down to sales? Like, how are you using social as a direct sales tool for your business specifically?
Direct sale ครับโอเคในเมืองไทยจริงๆแล้วเนี่ยการขายใน IG หรือว่าการใช้โซเชียลมีเดียปัจจุบันมันเมื่อเช้าผมคุยเรื่องพวกนี้กับทางพี่ๆด้านล่างคือมันไม่ใช่ขายของแพงคือในเมืองไทยเนี่ยโซเชียลมีเดียไม่ได้ขายของราคาแพงที่เราเห็นในปัจจุบันเราจะเห็นว่าโซเชียลปัจจุบันเราจะเห็นการขายของใน Facebook หรือ Instagram ที่เรามุ่งเน้นกลุ่มตลาดวัยรุ่นแต่ในขณะเดียวกันกลุ่มที่เป็นลูกค้าที่เป็นhigh quality หรือลูกค้าที่สามารถจ่ายเงินได้ในราคาสูงกับสินค้าที่เป็นของมีมูลค่าเนี่ยกับเป็นกลุ่มที่เป็นกลุ่มเล็กเป็นกลุ่มที่ยังเป็นกลุ่มที่ยังไม่ได้เป็นที่รู้จักกันมากนักแต่ในขณะเดียวกันเป็นกลุ่มที่มีการเติบโตสูงแล้วก็กลุ่มบริษัทหรือว่าองค์กรขนาดใหญ่หลายๆที่ในเมืองไทยพยายามให้ความสนใจเกี่ยวกับกลุ่มลูกค้าที่กำลังใช้โซเชียลมีเดียในการซื้อของหรือในการดูแล้วก็ศึกษาภาพลักษณ์ของแบรนด์นั้นก่อนที่จะมีการจ่ายเงินไปในโซเชียลครับ
So mainly we have to present our brand very well to let them know, like present it directly to our niche. So you will get the real customers, the real follower that actually buy your products. Yeah, so that's the way we mostly do in our brand.
And in that, are you seeing, like, what do you look at for your business? Do you care about the numbers? Do you care about that? Or are you just looking at how many people in my local market? Are you looking globally? What metrics do you look at for a business?
สำหรับสมัยก่อนเราคงสนใจเรื่องของปริมาณการกดไลค์หรือว่า follower แต่ว่าปัจจุบันแบรนด์ที่อยู่ได้คือแบรนด์ที่สนใจเรื่องของคุณภาพของคนที่เข้ามากดคือ quality ของคนที่เข้ามากดมากกว่าเรื่องของจำนวนของผู้เข้ามากดไลค์หรือว่า follower
Back then we used to care about the number of followers, but now it's more like we care about the real customer who actually follow and like have some interactions with our IG, and it's more like it's like what we say quality or quality over quantity.
yes
I want to go to one thing you mentioned that was really interesting, and I'm sure it's interesting to everyone in the room. You mentioned that you found new suppliers and new gemstone dealers via Instagram for your business.
All the time.
So what is it that made you choose them over others that are on there? And what are the things that the people in this room right now, the audience, can do?
So, for example, I see the authenticity. It's just as I want my clients to see the authenticity of my brand, I look at that. So, first of all, I see if somebody is specialized in sapphires rather than diamonds or any other color stones or any other product. I want to see the specialization, the fact that there's a competence, and then I really want to see the person behind it, because this is you have to send a wire transfer to somebody. You want to know who that person is. So I'll start following, talking to them, and then I'll realize if they're really an authentic source, if they're not just somebody online creating an account and trying maybe to, like a middle person trying to sell a piece of a stone here and there. I want to know that it's the source, because that's the whole reason why we are on social media. We want to go straight up to the source, and we don't want to deal with middlemen anymore. And that's the opportunity. So it's been very, it's an honest platform. You can immediately spot the real deal from the BS, I'm sorry. And there is a lot out there, of course, but you need to be careful. The opportunity is there. We're all professionals, and we understand immediately when we have the opportunity to find incredibly new sources and new relationships. But the most important thing is to find the relationship. So through Instagram, for example, you can establish a personal relationship with somebody over time, just chatting and without commitment in a way, and without the formality of an email of send me a catalog or I'll meet you at the show. But just looking at what they do and show me, recently with somebody I asked to do a video call on Instagram. I was like, I want to show me your factory, show me your office right now. I wanted to see where he was. I mean, had I seen a white desk and a computer, I would have been like, okay, I don't know if I want to deal with this guy. But I wanted to see the stones. I wanted to see the mess, the dust. I wanted to see the craft. And that's what we can do. So I find many opportunities on social media, and that's a very good, incredible discovery that I found in the recent years. We just have to kind of get out of the mindset of, I'm in the trade business, I don't do this, the way it's done is this way, my father's done it this way. I'm a sixth generation in a Cameo and Coral business. I try to do everything I learned a lot from my father and still do. It resonates in my mind all the time. But the old school of going to a trade show with a bag of jewelry and sell it to somebody, the first one that will buy it, it's definitely not what I've done in the last 20 years, and that's not what I will be doing going forward. It's evolution, and if we don't evolve, this business risks to really stall, because the women will love jewelry, but they're not buying it the way they were buying it. Right. Their mothers were buying it. Their fathers were buying it. It's not anymore the anniversary piece. It's not about the Christmas, gift. It's another mentality. So we have to change the mentality in the way we design it, the way we sell it, and how we sell it.
And I think another thing is that a lot of the social media is being consumed on just a mobile phone. And just through that platform, it's very personal, it's very intimate, so I think there are two things here. One is, of course, working with someone who's a storyteller, but I think before that is finding your own voice on social media. Share your fears, share your passions, share the things that make you happy and the things that are overwhelming, and I think that is because a lot of times people are like, oh, how do I start, and does it have to be the perfect photograph, and how many likes will I get? It's all white noise. And this is a platform, it's a personal platform that allows you to, connect with someone or reach out and establish that human connection. When that person is sitting with his phone before they go to sleep at night, or, when they get up first thing in the morning or during their lunch break, that's the goal, to make that connection.
What about we've talked a lot about front-end platforms and the front-end aspects of Instagram specifically. What about from a business to business side, things like LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, jewelry specific communities? How active are each of you in that space, and how valuable is it to everyone here at Congress?
I think that Facebook groups are very, very powerful, especially for stone dealers. I know several stone dealers and cutters here in the room that have very successful Facebook groups. I will say that, you know, like I talked earlier about the hard sell, I personally am turned off by LinkedIn at the moment. Every time I get on, someone is, you know, messaging me, asking me to buy something. I don't even know them. You know, those kind of things. So I would say, you know, you need to be personable and get to know the person first before you go in for that, you know, hey, I see you're, you know, you've been, that you work in jewelry, get this.
And don't just copy and paste it.
Don't just copy and paste it.
That's the word.
Yeah, exactly, you know, and make the, you know, make the intro personable.
But on a B2B level, I disagree on LinkedIn. I find LinkedIn very helpful.
Yeah, me
At
too.
least
Like I said,
I engage because it's much
Me
more professional. It's only business,
Yes.
and it's a very direct. I have a very strong engagement on LinkedIn that I didn't know. Of course, it's very B2B.
correct.
While obviously,
Are you using groups, or are you using just feed
I
posts?
I don't use groups. I don't like the idea of that. I like that it's the opposite idea of the social media. I think that you should go like one-on-one, or you have to send your message for whomever is reading or watching. But I think that the many platforms have different audiences, or a different mindset when they're on LinkedIn or on social or on Instagram, for example. LinkedIn is very professional. Of course, somebody who's on LinkedIn most of the times is somebody who's not on Instagram at all.
Yes.
The CEO of a company, or you know, some other professionals. So, and it's somebody that's actually looking out for some business. Of course, on Instagram, you have to kind of like, you know, filter a lot.
Yeah.
But I think LinkedIn, I like LinkedIn because I'm able to, I like reading articles.
Yes.
You know, and I find like Cedric shares amazing articles on LinkedIn about what's happening in Africa, and I wait for his shares and his posts. You know, when I do my gym journeys, I create a WhatsApp group of all the people who are coming with me on that trip.
Right.
And after the trip is over, all of us stay on that WhatsApp group.
It's like a
and so
mini-
it's like,
mini
it
micro-community.
becomes a mini community there. I haven't tried Facebook groups. It's something that I'm curious about, but it's, you know, but I think beyond Instagram, I love LinkedIn for that, for education. I find it's very educative.
I want to
for
ask
me.
This
Saren
is
real
why-
quick, though, something that Richa just mentioned on messaging. You were WhatsApp.
Yeah.
In this, especially in the States, messaging platforms are now coming about, I would
Yeah.
say. But what about it here in Thailand? Messaging communities and messaging platforms have been popular for a while. WhatsApp, WeChat, Weibo, things like that. Do you use those for business?
จริงๆเมืองไทยใช้ค่อนข้างหลากหลายแต่ว่าส่วนใหญ่ที่เราใช้กันหลักๆก็คือ Facebook Instagram Twitter มี 3 อย่างที่ป๊อปปูล่าที่สุดในขณะนี้ แต่ว่าถ้าสมมุติว่าเรามีลูกค้าเป็นจีนหรือเป็นประเทศต่างๆในรอบเอเชียจะมีแอปพลิเคชันต่างๆที่หลากหลายออกไปเพราะฉะนั้นขึ้นอยู่กับว่าลูกค้าเราคือใครเราจะเลือกใช้อันนั้นอย่างตอนนี้ผมมีลูกค้าที่เป็นคนจีนแล้วก็จะใช้แอปพลิเคชันของจีนเข้ามาใช้ในการทำ business ด้วยเช่นเดียวกัน
It is actually depends on our customer. In Thailand, we mostly use Facebook or Instagram or other app chat application like Line or well, mostly we use Line basically. Yeah. But now we have customer in China as well. So we starting use WeChat for customer in China.
Okay.
So it depends on customers.
And sorry, Benjamin, you were going to jump in and say something. I just wanted to touch on that real
This
quick.
is why there's so many different platforms.
Yeah.
There's a platform for everybody. You know, I don't like LinkedIn. I'm not buying stones.
Exactly,
Neither
because
is
you were-
Richa.
Right.
No, you know,
Or me.
Correct.
Hey, I am buying stones.
Personal.
For yourself.
Correct. Yeah, she's buying personal
I'm in the
stones.
market
She's
for a
not buying
ruby.
lots from Sant or something like that. You know, so that's why I'm saying, like, you know, that there is a platform for everyone. I think, you know, Twitter is great for, like, GIA. They put out
Yeah.
amazing information that is helping a new audience that is, and a lot of people that are on Twitter are not active on, like, Facebook and Instagram. They're learning what their birthstone is for the first time because of the GIA, you know? You know, Facebook tends to trend older. You know, LinkedIn has more professionals. Instagram's very visual. YouTube has kind of the gambit of everybody. This is why there's a platform for everyone, and why I think that companies here in the room should be on multiple platforms. I'm not saying they have to be on all, especially because it's overwhelming to try and start, you know, 5, 6 platforms overnight. But you know, it's definitely good to be on different ones. And Instagram direct message groups are also very, very helpful. And Facebook's integrating Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and Instagram DM, so that now you'll be able to, if you have a client that is on WhatsApp but isn't on Instagram and Facebook, you'll be able to include them with other people, you know, that are going to be on all the different apps.
I just want to add that, you know, I think companies, brands need to also think about what is it that I'm going for. Do I want to go for the spray and pray strategy, or am I looking to, you know, have a targeted approach? So, and I think those are some introspection before you sort of launch anything is I think helpful.
Well, I know we are wrapping up on time here and running out of time, and I feel like we could have done this twice, 3 times as long. But what's the quick, we'll take 30 seconds each at most, wrap up, first thing that everyone in the audience needs to do, or the biggest thing that's going to help their business between now and next Congress with regard to digital and social?
I think engage, show your product. The best way to show your product, the cheapest way to show your product is social media, but you have to show your product. If you don't show it, nobody knows that you actually have that product. So you have a quick way, a cheap way, do it. Because there is an audience out there eager to look at your product.
I think don't be transactional, don't sell, build trust.
I think be present. My grandfather used to always say, you know, being present is half the battle. Show up for things. And, you know, Amadeo said, engage. And no longer, you know, can we just post something or put up something in a magazine and just kind of wait for things to come in. You have to be active in building your business.
ในมุมผมคือไม่ว่าเราจะทำอะไรก็ตามพยายามให้ในมีเดียของตัวเองมีสไตล์เฉพาะตัวและเป็นเอกลักษณ์ของตัวเองแล้วทำอย่างนี้ต่อไปเรื่อยๆเพราะลูกค้าจะดูแล้วจะจำเราจากภาพที่เราจากวันแรกจนถึงปัจจุบันและอนาคตถ้าเราไม่เปลี่ยนและเราพัฒนาไปได้เรื่อยๆคนจะรักเราและจะจำภาพเราต่อไป
So be consistency and show yourself to the world. Show your own style. Be your style. Be your own self. That's the advice.
Excellent. And now, obviously, our digital panel is all taking selfies up here on the
Yes.
stage. Sarah, yes.
Can we take a room selfie, everybody?